cancels that, right? Nope. Cool, cool. Morning, fellow zombies. Well, after we've had gone through the political arena, might as well call us zombies right now. Emotionally screwed up, sleep deprived, and everything else happening these days. And I was afraid of shit happening right now. Part of my language. I'm just getting started with the language right now. Of all hell breaking loose. Now, we kept worrying about whether or not all hell was breaking loose. If one particular party or another particular party was going to screw things up one way or another. We'd already seen it back in 2020, where one particular party, who didn't get elected into office, into the Oval Office, decided to take matters into their own hands. And we'd seen the result of it. And they were afraid of it. They were afraid of happening at this time. And that's why there are court cases and legal precedents happening, positions statewide in different states changing left and right. I mean, all hell breaking loose. And then what do we get? We get that particular lunatic party back in office again. And now the pushback is like I'm stating, like it's now. No, but it was building up. It was building up. And out here in California, Moreno Valley and Chino Valley has been going nuts over it. Their teachers, professors haven't gone crazy yet, but it's the instructors and the educational systems that are having royal conniption fits. Inland Empire, Moreno Valley. We're talking areas where the Trumplican Party had been major and majority. Trying to understand the frustration and the anger leveled at both the voters who put in someone who's going to be putting in more disruption and everything else. I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to not say. It seems like I'm bouncing on this one here instead of going thermonuclear, saying this shouldn't have happened. We should have had this party gone in. We should have had, if we're going to be pushing in that route there, and it's like a no return. But I have to keep flipping it in my head on this one. What if we actually had a Democratic Party getting in office? Would we still be gearing up emotionally and physically for another January 6th situation? Would you have another situation happening? Would there be more court cases being filed because the elections may have been considered fraudulent if we actually had Vice President Harris to become a President-elect Harris? I'm saying the what if here. Just keep this in mind. It's what if. Because I have to flip this damn thing right now and wonder and try to maneuver this thing. Because if we are still going into the explosive natures that's being recorded left and right, did we have that situation back in 2020 when Biden got the nomination and got into the office? The only chance we saw it ever exploding was January 6th when the final certification was happening in Congress. And Congress was going to vote. And they were ready to vote. Once they get all the tabulations going, once they got all the figures and facts from the states, and they're going to be doing the final checks, and they would certify, and then January 20th, the process finalizes with an installment of a president for the next 4 years. But unfortunately, when you have somebody else wanting that power desperately, we saw the result, what happened. and the constant results in the last 4 years of it. And now we're seeing the replay of 2016 all over again. But what I hadn't seen back in 2016 to compare it to now is how much animosity and how much anger and frustration, and granted, it's needed to be notated. It needs to be said. It needs to be put out there because this is the anger felt even when we had Trump, who lost to 2020, of how much animosity and anger and vitriol came out on January 6th. Now we're seeing it pop out on the opposite side. Do I sympathize with the protesters? Yeah, I do. But there's a but. Exploding emotionally on students is not exactly a good way of demonstrating something that should have been demonstrated a long time ago. When you have opposition of candidates coming in, of how much vitriol people are buying into and already seeing the previous actions of them, a way to educate the youth of what's going on, but not tearing apart someone else's personal clothing or yelling and screaming at students. But I understand their frustration. But I'm not taking the side of a Trumplican either. Yeah, I could have been handled better. It should have been handled better. And now you got the teachers being removed. Now keep this in mind. Keep this in mind. Is this going to be a consistent situation here where we have the people who cannot deal with opposite opinions going to be removing the other people? And they're going to be making the same damn argument. Well, actually, when we had Biden coming into office, and that if Harris ever come into office, that's going to be contentious right there. And how come that did not make newsworthy in the corporate media, or let alone in the independent? At least not I've seen these guys bellyache. Right now, the independents are bellyaching about the choices that Trump's making for his cabinet and what departments are going to be slashed and dashed and put into graves, so to speak. Yeah, I got a problem with that one there, too. Necessary areas being diverted or changed about. And now I'm worrying about my own disability being shortchanged because I've got the Trumplican Party totally in control of all three branches. Voted upon by a majority in both both electoral college and the popular vote. And once more, I keep saying I blame the voters. Because once we have changes happening in our departments that we need, someone's going to try doing an audit. Elon Musk is going to be doing an audit in our departments to see which ones are necessary and which ones aren't. Is this what he's going to do? And if we get the changes happening that we don't like and taken out, then what? And again, this is democracy in action. The dangers about democracy. We show the pitfalls. We also show the prudence of it. Democracy is one of the easiest forms of government to be manipulated. Aristotle wrote about it a long time ago when the Greeks were getting this concept going and the city-states were voting their own leaders in. Athens was one of them. And Aristotle had written his opinions, his ideas, and ideologies concerning about government systems working. And in his extensive readings, in his extensive writings, and it's extensive, believe me, it's hard to keep track of it sometimes, even for this kid. We're dealing with the most corruptible form of government that can easily be turned from good to autocratic, and we've seen it too much in world history, even among the 200 or 300 years, or the last 200 300 years. Even the 20th century had been showing more and more of it, up to the 21st century. And we're seeing democracy challenged left and right. Do I support what the teacher said? Yeah. But it should have been expressed in a different format. If you're going to be doing your political viewpoints, put them into a format that cannot be contested. And definitely not shouted to your students. And this is a word of warning also to the college professors out there, from the community to the university level. They're coming after you guys. You got to watch your asses. Now, as for the social scenes of it, concerning about the MAGA movement. Yes, there's going to be people wearing the red caps left and right. And yes, they're going to be highly opinionated and they're going to be feeling full of themselves. And yes, we are going to be feeling and seeing the opposition. They're going to be doing anything and everything they can, hopefully legally, politely enough, to make sure that their viewpoints are also viewed and justified. That's how I'm observing things these days. That's how I'm viewing it. How else am I not supposed to view it? Now, the opposite. Now, the party that just got in says, well, we want things calmed down. We want them just the way they were. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen that way. If you haven't seen the trends and you're not paying attention to them, it's only going to get worse. It's not going to get any better soon. Because we'd already seen as results what happened back in 2020. And we already seen from 2019 all the way. Actually, it was 2017, actually. Through 2021. What's been happening? There's a hell of a lot of animosity. There's a hell of a lot of hatred and anger and vitriol. There's a lot of subdivision at this point. There's division and then there's subdivision on that one. And I'm not just talking about a musical score from a band either. It's there. It's there. Fear, paranoia, misinformation. It's there. So now we got the medias, both independent and corporate, are still doing the finger pointing, trying to pinpoint it and try to tell people what's going on. And they all have their own opinions, their own viewpoints on the damn thing. Is it going to help much? I don't know. But this is what it is. Do we want things back to normal again? We don't even know what normal is anymore. What was considered normal? If you look back at one particular point of history, what was considered acceptable and normal and that everyone else was getting along? Never. Not in any form of country, government, not even our own government, not in our own history of our country here. 248 years. Next year it'll be 249 years. Do the math. It's been that long. I'm not talking when the colonies were formed. I'm talking when we got certified. roughly. So, I live in a community that most of the vitriol is still on the west side, and on the east side, they struggle. And I suppose on the west side, they struggle in my community of Roseman, California. We have veterans out there who also have their own opinions of who they're supporting and who they're not supporting. I've heard that one particular Trumplican out there who kept stating that about military crapped on him a lot of times while he was in office. He likes to ticker tape parade like Putin would get. And then you had to see the budgets of how much you need to afford that compared to the programs you still needed to be worked on and supported. You're going to take that much funding away from the military when you needed the most for defense or a domestic area that you needed to be worked on? Or how about the debt? That's still the deficit that was still increasing, and the debt that was mounting. But Trump wanted a party, just like Putin. So now we got to deal with that, don't we? And if we happen to go into an economic collapse, is he going to be able to recognize that one? Are the other Trumplicans going to be able to acknowledge it? Or are they just going to be lying through their teeth? I'm hoping that our system, our country, will survive. But we are talking a hell of a lot of changes happening to it. A lot of people aren't liking it. They don't want to like it. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to have anything to deal with that kind of negativity or anything else going on. Guess what? We're dealing with it. We're dealing with it. And one particular gentleman out there who is really not a Trump supporter, but he's going to be talking about Trump's wife. Bad taste. See, I don't care what happens in the Trump family. They're all screwed up. Their particular tree is rotten to the core. They've already demonstrated it too much. Not one of them was struggling. Well, actually, there have been a few, maybe, struggling against that particular that growth, that pop dip. See, they have no understanding what American history is all about. They don't care. Money is all the thing they mattered. Money and power, that's it. So that goes in their whole line there. Even if there are a few dissenters of the Trumplicate line, they know they've been touched, and they're the ones speaking out against it. But definitely not enough. But they tried. Because the Trumplican Party will reign supreme for the next 4 years, or maybe longer than that. That's what I'm afraid of. And if it does, let's just hope that we don't get into another biological warfare or nightmare coming back to bite us in the ass. Let's hope that we don't get a war coming on our shores or somewhere else that we can't ever get rid of. Let's just hope that we don't get into a nuke fest somewhere in this world that we're going to have to launch ancient weapons at each other and maybe have a chance for survival or two somewhere. That's what I'm scared of. Oh, we may face some kind of space emergency that we can't deal and be equipped with. And people still point the fingers and blame everybody else. Nobody steps up, takes responsibility or accountability. Getting to the local area of Southern California, somebody had the the dumbass idea of screwing up transportation in the San Fernando Valley back in the 30s, 40s, 50s. Had this thing called a red car going up and down LA and in the San Fernando Valley. Basically, it was a rail system that they actually had. When the company got discontinued, they dug up the rails, kept the streets. Now they're trying to do it all over again. Metro Transportation Authority out here wants a light rail system going up and down Van Nuys Boulevard. They're out of their frickin' minds. Okay. Let's do the time warp again. To the Google Maps we go. Shall we? You're watching it. You're going to be participating, boys and girls. You're going to be participating in this one without the professor here. And I am no professor. I'm not even a lettered academic of any sort. But I feel like a damn professor and being a damn fool and idiot at this point. So this damn fool and idiot is going to take you on a map quest here. So get your map programs out. Let's go over to the San Fernando Valley, shall we? My map already went automatically to my own hometown, the armpit of the Antelope Valley of Roseman, California. To the wedge. From the wedge, I go to the small area of the San Fernando Valley, and I'm going to Van Nuys Boulevard. Van Nuys Boulevard is falling between the 5 and the 405 freeways. They're the north and south freeways that connect up to, on the top portion, the 210 freeway, the 118 freeway, and on the bottom portion is the 170 actually it's the 101 Ventura Freeway. 5 freeway splits into 2. It splits off into its own self at the 5, but it also has the 170 Hollywood Freeway because of the passes that the freeways are going through. If you look at the geography of the San Fernando Valley, this island thing that you see, this suburbanite scrunched up community with industries of all sorts in there. You're looking at the geographic feature of this thing. If you happen to turn your layers over to the terrain or even traffic, you'll see it in a different light of what this valley looks like. Not showing you the population density, but show you a little bit of geography in this one here. You notice the mountain ranges that are surrounding the area. A small valley to the left on the west side of the Simi Valley. Down below, the basin of Los Angeles, the city of and the county. Ugh. And on the surrounding communities of this valley is the San Gabriel's and San Andreas to the north, and Gabriel's and the San Bernardino's on the east. Down below, well, more of the San Gabes. But you've also seen this little island out there straddling between the 210 and the 5 freeway. You notice how the freeways are going between the passes. This is the reason why they had them split up like this. But now let's get you back into density, population density. Hit the satellite. Now you're seeing this all over again. Now we're going into the cities. We're going into the communities. We've kind of narrowed the shot until you see the entire valley just be on your entire screen here. And I said before, Van Nuys Boulevard is sandwiched between the 405 and the 5 freeway. What the Metropolitan Transportation Authority of Los Angeles, and the region itself, want to do is bring back the light rail. They want to bring it up from the south, which is the bottom portion of the San Fernando Valley, and the communities, and stick it all the way over towards Pacoima, San Fernando area, because we've got transportation hub over there, maybe. So let's take a little joyride on this one, boys and girls. Long ago, back in the, what was it, 40s? No, 50s and 60s, when they actually had a booming economy going on, they had cruise night. So the 70s and 80s until they had discontinued it back in the 80s. But every once in a while, they kept trying to bring it back up again on certain days and nights for the damn territory. And you would have kids driving in cars up and down the streets. Not racing holy hell, not spinning out, not trying to burn rubber, not trying to kill people, and dumbass things that they do. They're just there to have fun. They were there just to cruise, to see what's happening on the boulevard. They do that up and down there and drive the cops crazy a little bit, but the cops would allow it because if there was no trouble happening on the boulevard, they weren't going to say anything, but their presence would be still known. But the valley grew up, mutated, homes, businesses, a lot of changes happening. Even in my lifetime. I mean, I lived there for about 38 years. From 68 all the way through 2005. So there have been a hell of a lot of changes happening up and down the major corridors of this place that I grew up in. So let's show you what's happening, boys and girls, shall we? We're going to be looking at the Van Nuys Boulevard. So kind of get over to the 405 area. Kind of center it to your screen first. And where you see the lower portion of the valley, you'll see the Ventura Freeway, the 101. Now keep your eye on the interchange over there. In this section, we have the Sepulveda area. Sepulveda Boulevard. It's stretching from all the way from the top portion of San Fernando Valley all the way down to past LAX. But I'm not worried about that. I'm using it as a reference because I'm going to be following the 101 and I'm going to move the screen. And I'm going to the east side, which means everything else goes to the west. So while I'm following the 101 freeway, I'm looking at all the landscape. How much homes do we have crammed in there? In certain areas we have businesses, small mom and pops, maybe corporate shops left and right. And I have to keep track of the street names that we have in there, such as, what do we got? Van Nuys Boulevard. I almost missed it. Okay, so they're basically a, what the hell was this one again? They changed this shit. My God, they didn't change this shit. I really gotta get my glasses cleaned. Okay, so at the 101 interchange, we get the Van Nuys Boulevard. Okay? And there's parks in the area that you see. Keep that as a landmark, unless it changes on us. Where their bus system wants to go to, they want to do a double lane of trains going up and down. Just like the red cars did back in the early days of the 20th century. And they want to do this up and down. So let's take a gander on the Van Nuys, shall we? Now, you see past the 101 freeway, densely packed homes, businesses left and right. Can anybody see the word eminent domain? Let's say that out loud. Eminent domain means I am a government official at this point. I'm using this as an example. And I'm going over to your area. And I'm saying, by the order of the city and whatever kind of bureaucracy I'm representing here, I hereby declare your place is now mine. You have so many days to get that place liquidated. We can give you an offer for it. But eventually, we need it. So take the money and run, or try to fight us in court. But since we got eminent domain, that's not going to be suitable. Take the money and run. So properties have been bought and sold this way a long time ago. Certain actions happen in different towns that when other conditions happened, we wanted other places of business to take over. Um, Hold that thought because I'm going to put this on another video, this one. We need to talk more about this one. Uh, all of this is relevant. All of this is relevant. So let's start at round two, shall we?